Okay, let's dive in. Have you ever had that feeling, when you're using DeFi, that maybe you're paying some kind of hidden cost?
Yeah. Like something's happening behind the scenes.
Exactly. Like every trade, every move you make on chain, maybe there's something just scraping a little value off the top.
Well, that feeling, it's often real. It's usually this thing called MEV,
Mm-hmm.
Maximal Extractable Value.
Right.
It acts like an invisible tax, really.
Yeah.
And you could be paying it and not even, be aware of how much it's costing you.
And the thing is, this whole issue seems like it's about to get, well, a lot more serious. We've got AI agents coming into DeFi now,
Oh, yeah. That's going to ramp up transaction volume complexity.
which makes these existing problems like MEV much more critical. They're not just like little glitches anymore.
No, the source we're looking at says it's really baked into how a lot of these systems work today, extracting quite a bit of value that just bypasses regular users.
So that's what we're digging into today. We're focusing on one main source. It's an announcement about a brand new Layer 1 blockchain. It's called FAIR.
And our goal here, really, is to help you make sense of it all. We want to break down what MEV actually is, why it matters so much, especially with AI coming,
Mm-hmm.
and then look at how this new project, AIR, is trying to solve it with some pretty interesting tech. It could genuinely change things for DeFi and, for AI on the blockchain.
Okay, let's start with that hidden tax idea, MEV. The source calls it an invisible tax and says it's extracting billions. What does that actually mean in practice?
Yeah, that description, invisible tax, it really gets to the heart of it. MEV is basically the profit bad actors, or sometimes even network operators, can make by, well, messing with the order of your transactions in a block.
Messing with them how?
They can see your transaction waiting to be processed, figure out what you're trying to do, and then slip their own transaction in before yours, or sometimes even censor yours.
Ah, so they use that knowledge to profit somehow.
Exactly. The source is pretty clear. This isn't small change. It's already extracting billions worldwide.
Billions. And it's not just a theoretical risk, right? The source says it's not an edge case. It's embedded in the system.
No,
That sounds pervasive.
it really is. And the statistic they mention is quite something. Over 70% of Ethereum blocks today include MEV.
Wow. Over 70%?
Yeah. And what really matters there is how it hits your actual experience. The source gives some good examples, like trying to set a simple limit order on a DEX.
Yeah.
It's almost pointless sometimes because bots will see your order, jump in front of you that's front running, or they'll sandwich you.
Sandwich.
Yeah, they buy right before your order executes, let your trade push the price up, and then immediately sell after you.
Ugh.
They capture that price difference your trade created.
Ugh. So you set a price, but you don't actually get it because someone manipulated the market right around your trade.
Precisely. Or think about automated strategies like index funds that need to rebalance automatically.
Oh.
Those become really hard to run efficiently on-chain because everyone can see the rebalancing trades coming and, well, exploit them. The source basically calls MEV a constant transaction tax. Every interaction might leak a little bit of value.
And now add AI into this mix. Smarter agents, faster trades.
Exactly. They'll naturally increase the volume, the complexity, the competition.
So if the system allows MEV, the total amount extracted just goes up.
That's the projection. The source suggests that if we don't fix this, MEV could grow into a $100 billion problem.
100 billion. Okay, that's a huge number. It really makes you think. If DeFi and AI are going to coexist and grow properly on-chain, this MEV thing has to be dealt with.
Yeah, the source puts it bluntly. Fairness is no longer a luxury. For DeFi users, it's a requirement. It directly impacts your trades, your strategies, your trust in the whole system.
Okay, problem understood. It's big, it's getting bigger. So, FAIR. What's their proposed solution? They make a pretty bold claim. The first MEV-resistant L1, where MEV can't exist.
That's the headline promise, yeah. And it seems to hinge on two core pieces of tech mentioned in their announcement. Something called the Byte protocol, and then the FAIR EVM.
All right, let's tackle Byte first. How does that supposedly make MEV impossible?
Well, it's a different way of handling transactions. The idea is when you submit your transaction on FAIR, the Byte protocol encrypts it, like right away.
Encrypts it before it goes out onto the network.
Before it hits that public mempool where everyone can see it, yeah.
Yeah.
And that encryption is the crucial step because the validators, the ones who actually build the blocks,
Yeah.
they cannot read or reorder the encrypted data. They just see a blob of encrypted information. They don't know what's inside.
So they know a transaction exists, but they have no idea what it's trying to do: buy, sell, call a contract.
Exactly. They have to include it in the block, essentially blind. The actual content, the details of your transaction, only get revealed after the block is finalized, locked in.
How does it get revealed then?
There's a specific decryption committee that unlocks the data after the block is set in stone, allowing it to be executed.
Oh, okay. So by the time anyone, validators, sneaky bots, anyone can see what your transaction actually is, its place in the block is already fixed. It can't be moved or front run.
That's the logic. The source claims this cuts off manipulation at the source. No front running, no sandwich attacks, and no manipulation. Because the information you'd need to do those things just isn't available until it's way too late.
So it's not just about making MEV less profitable, it's about making it technically impossible.
That's the claim, yeah. Removing that information advantage entirely. They use the phrase, what you see is what you get.
Okay, that tackles the transaction ordering part. But what about actually running the code, the smart contracts? Is that where the fair EVM comes in?
Exactly. The fair EVM isn't just like a standard EVM. The source calls it a purpose-built execution environment, a complete re-architecture. Apparently, it's built in C++, specifically for these next-gen demands.
Like AI agents, institutions, high-frequency stuff.
Right. It's not just about being faster, though speed is part of it. It's designed for things like parallel execution, asynchronous processing, and database-level efficiency, things that help it handle lots of complex operations quickly.
And they mention instant finality. How does that work? That sounds ambitious for blockchain.
Yeah, instant finality is a strong term. The idea seems to be that the execution happens incredibly quickly within the block's context, basically as soon as it's decrypted.
And how does that tie in with the byte encryption?
They work together. The fair EVM is doing the heavy lifting, executing the smart contracts very efficiently. But the byte protocol is constantly ensuring the inputs for those contracts stay hidden, confidential, until block finalization.
I see. So byte guarantees the order is fair and the inputs are secret, and then the fair EVM executes things super fast once they're revealed in the final block.
That's the picture they paint. The source describes it as this unique pairing of a high-performance EVM fused with consensus layer encryption.
And the benefit is baked in.
That's the key takeaway from the source, yeah. Native MEV resistance, native privacy as a built-in feature. You don't need extra tools or layers, apparently. It's meant to be this faster, smarter, and fairer foundation, especially for this new wave of DeFi. They call it AI meets DeFi.
DeFi, okay. So, if this works as described, if MEV really is impossible, what can you do on fair that maybe you couldn't do before? The source talks about a new class of applications.
Right. This is where it gets potentially really interesting. Think about all the things MEV makes difficult or risky today. The source lists MEV-free versions of the basics. AMMs, lending, perpetuals.
Standard DeFi stuff, but without the hidden tax.
Exactly. But also things that are genuinely hard now, like usable limit orders on DXs. Imagine setting a price and actually trusting you'll get that price filled without getting exploited.
That would be huge.
Or those automated index funds we mentioned. They could rebalance without constantly leaking value to frontrunners. On-chain CLOBs, central limit order books, become more viable too.
Because no one can see your intentions until the trade is locked in.
Precisely. The source says no one can front-run trades or extract value from users. And for AI, this is big, they could run encrypted strategies in real time without revealing their logic until after execution.
So AI agents could operate without giving away their secret sauce instantly.
That's the idea. It enables more sophisticated, potentially confidential strategies on-chain. Beyond trading, the source also mentions things like private and fair capital raises, prediction markets, auctions, and coordination tools. Basically, anything needing guaranteed fairness or confidentiality.
It sounds like a foundation for builders doing AI native finance or anything needing privacy.
That seems to be the target, yeah.
So where does FAIR fit into the bigger picture? Is it just another standalone L1 popping up?
Well, the announcement actually positions it as the next phase of the SKALE ecosystem.
Ah, SKALE. Okay.
The idea is that FAIR will make the whole SKALE network even stronger and, importantly, stop value from sort of leaking out of the SKALE ecosystem to other L1s where MEV might be happening.
How do they plan to integrate it? Will SKALE Chains just connect to FAIR?
It's a bit deeper than that. The plan is for existing SKALE Chains to actually upgrade to the FAIR SDK.
SDK, Software Development Kit.
Yeah. So by upgrading, they'd inherit FAIR's core features, that encrypted execution, the AI tools, the zero MEV guarantee, It's like they become fair-enabled.
Okay.
And another big piece is moving the SKALE manager, which handles a lot of the network's core logic and currently lives on Ethereum, over to fair.
Why moose that?
The source mentions lowering operational costs and reducing SKALE's dependency on Ethereum L1.
And what's in it for fair? What does fair get from being tied to SKALE?
Users and activity right from the start. The goal is to link every application on the SKALE network to fair for liquidity, trading, and DeFi activities, potentially from day one.
And SKALE has significant activity already.
Yeah, the source notes it's consistently a top 10 global blockchain in terms of users and transaction volume. So fair wouldn't be starting from absolute zero. It would tap into that existing network.
Okay, let's talk tokens. How does the economic side of this work?
It's interesting. They're introducing a dual token economy. It involves both the existing SKALE token from SKALE and a new native fair token. The ticker for the fair token isn't decided yet, or at least wasn't announced.
A dual token system. How does SKALE fit in? What's its job in the fair world?
SKALE seems crucial for operating the network.
Mm-hmm.
The source says SKALE is burned to operate fair validator nodes and also burned to unlock advanced features from the fair SDK.
Burned. So used up.
Yeah, consumed. They actually call fair a SKALE burning machine. The idea seems to be that as fair gets used more SKALE gets burned, potentially increasing its scarcity.
Okay, so SKALE fuels the network operation. What about the new fair token?
That's described as the native token for the new Layer 1. It's needed for the basic security of the fair chain itself right from launch.
And the announcement mentioned an airdrop. That always gets people's attention.
Yes, there's a plan outlined. The creators intend to allocate a pretty big chunk, 33% of fair's total supply, to the community over time.
33%. Wow.
And a significant piece of that, 10% as an airdrop for SKALE holders at TGE token generation event, basically the launch.
An airdrop for SKALE holders. What's the strategy behind that? Who are they trying to reach?
Seems like a few goals.
Mm-hmm.
One is obviously to align the existing SKALE community with the new fair network, make sure current supporters feel included.
Makes sense.
But they also specifically mention wanting to reward long-term SKALE holders, and particularly aiming to give an outsized reward to those with smaller amounts.
Ah, so trying to benefit the smaller loyal holders more.
That seems to be the intention, yeah. They also explicitly state that big wallets held by the foundation or core team will be excluded from this airdrop, trying to spread it out more to the community.
That sounds good in principle, but are there caveats? Is this plan set in stone?
Very important point. No, it's definitely not set in stone yet. The source is quite clear. The plan is still under development.
Okay.
Things like the exact timing, who qualifies, and the lockup periods, how it's distributed, all those details are subject to change. And crucially, the entire airdrop is contingent on a successful mainnet launch and on-chain governance approval. So it depends on the tech working and the relevant DAOs voting yes. It's an intention, a plan, but not a guarantee right now.
Got it. Good to keep that in mind. So looking ahead, what's the timeline? What are the next steps for FAIR?
The immediate next step mentioned is the FAIR testnet. It's apparently preparing for launch, and they highlight that Vodafone is involved from the start, onboarding to secure the network from day one.
Vodafone. Interesting. Like the telco.
Seems so. An early, fairly large name involved in securing the testnet.
And then after the testnet, the full rollout.
It looks like a phased approach, especially regarding the SKALE integration. Phase 1 is the FAIR mainnet launch itself. The target mentioned by the developer community is late Q4 2025.
End of next year, roughly?
Yeah. Then comes Phase 2, bringing that FAIR SDK we talked about to the existing SKALE chains. And Phase 3 is migrating the SKALE manager off Ethereum and onto FAIR.
And alongside all that tech rollout?
They'll be releasing more details on the tokenomics, developer programs, and community incentives. So fleshing out the ecosystem around the core tech.
Okay. So if we tie this all together,
Right.
what's the core idea here?
Well, the blockchain started with this promise of being a fair, level playing field.
Mm-hmm.
But MEV kind of undermined that, creating this hidden advantage, this tax based on seeing information first and ordering transactions.
Right.
FAIR seems to be trying to bring back that original fairness. But instead of just hoping for good behavior, they're embedding encryption right into the base layer, into the consensus process itself.
Using tech to enforce fairness.
Exactly. By hiding the transaction data until it's too late to manipulate, they aim to just eliminate that whole MEV game, pairing that byte encryption with their custom high-speed FAIR EVM.
They're going for what the source calls cryptographic fairness built to scale.
Yeah, and they sum up the ambition pretty boldly. FAIR is where AI lives and MEV dies.
So for you listening, Hopefully this dive gave you a clearer picture of MEV, what it is, why it matters, especially with AI joining the party. And critically, you've now heard about FAIR's approach to tackling it head on.
Yeah, it's a different architecture aimed at getting rid of that hidden tax, potentially creating a more level playing field for DeFi, and importantly, for these AI agents that are coming.
And maybe here's something to chew on after this. If a network could truly make MEV impossible, completely eliminate it, what kind of strategies, what kind of applications that seem too risky or just don't work today could suddenly become viable?
Right. Think about how AI, freed from that constant threat of being front-run or having its strategies instantly copied and exploited, might interact with finance on-chain. What new possibilities open up when fairness isn't just a hope, but a guarantee built into the code?